this phi here, or you can also define it by x2, y2 and phi. Similarly, the rigid body in a plane, right? What are the configuration variables? Or how many configuration variables are there?
6.
Yeah, 6. That is, I'll just write xi comma yi, where I is 1 to 3.
Sir, in the earlier example, can we also consider like x1, y1 and x2, or x1, y1 and y instead of 5?
No, x1, y1 and x2. Will x1, y1 and x2 define the degrees of freedom? Clearly x1 and x2 are related, right?
Yes, sir, but it still defines, because x2 minus x1 is L1 2 cos theta, or where theta is the inclination of L1 2. So either we need theta to be defined or we need x2 to be defined. So for the general system.
Okay, but do you think that is, I mean, convenient? That was the whole point. Suppose if I take x1, y1 and x2, and then ultimately you are having to, if you think about the number of degrees of freedom, the number of independent coordinates which can define this link, you generally think of it in terms of 2 translational and 1 rotational. It can translate in the x and y direction and can rotate in that plane. If you do it by x1, y1 and x2, ultimately you are having to derive it from somewhere. You are having to use this relation, and again you are having to get some expression for x2. So that is the whole point of a generalized coordinate. Generalized coordinate means that you should not have to derive it. You can certainly express it, you can certainly write that yes, x1, y1 and x2 you can do it, but it won't be, I mean, it will not independently be defining in that sense. That's what I mean.
Okay, sir.
So the point of this exercise is to choose such a set of coordinates where they themselves can define it, that you don't have to derive it from somewhere. So if I choose x1, y1 and phi, for example, then clearly I'm getting 3 independent coordinates for this link. That is, one is the translation in both directions and one is the rotation of the link in the plane. These are by themselves defining the position and orientation of this link. So that was the whole point of this. Same for the rigid body in the plane. If you can just tell me what all are the, okay, dimension of C6, what will be the degrees of freedom and the constraint equations?
So 3 degrees of freedom and constraint will be same as the upper one, except for like 3 lengths.
Yeah, so this you'll have eta I equals d of some pi pj minus lij equal to 0 for I equals 1, 2, 3. So you get 3 constraint equations, and the dimensions of the configuration variables are 6. So you get degrees of freedom as 3. Now even here, right, what should be the 3 degrees of freedom?
Xi, yi, and phi.
Yeah, any one of, will it be any one? X1, Y1?
Yes, sir.
The
Anyone.
numbering is arbitrary, so.
Yeah, so X, Y and phi. X, I, Y, I, phi. right? This is a rigid body in a plane. Now next, let us consider a system of links in a plane. So same thing. What will be Q here? The number of configuration variables.
8.
Eight. Okay. X1, Y1, X2, Y2, X3, Y3, and X4, Y4.
Or it
And
can
what
be
will
6 if you consider 5 instead of.
yeah if you yeah you okay you can consider 5. So
Then it'll be 6.
then it'll be 6. So what will be the degrees of freedom finally?
6.
6. And what are those degrees of freedom?
X1, Y1, Phi1, and X3, Y3, Phi2.
Okay. Now let us from these 2 points, let us try and create an open chain. Let us join, for example, the point P2 and P3. This P2 I'm joining to P3 to create an open chain, right? So in this case, what will be the dimension of the configuration variables? And what will be finally n?
6 and 4.
6 and
4.
6 and 4. So what are these two constraint equations?
D12 is L1 and D23 would be L3, L2.
X3, Y3?
Wait, sir, first one will be of L1, which is the distance between P1 and P3, and second constraint will be of L2, which is the distance between P2 and P4.
Okay. Can you find simpler constraint equations? You're going from this point. Can you see at the top figure where you have 2 links? You're going here.
Yes.
I think in the figure only the constraint equation is mentioned.
Yes, sir. The distance would be 0 between 2 and 3.
Yeah, so the simpler way of expressing this should be something like this, where you already have obtained for this case, then from there you are having a constraint equation that gives you an open chain. So you don't have to go all the way back till the first case where you write in terms of length. You can simply write x3 minus x2 equal to 0 and y3 minus y2 equal to 0. So in this case, 4 will be there. So what are those 4?
X1, Y1, Phi1, Phi2.
X1, Y1, Phi1. Will it be Phi2? Or
Yes. Phi2.
Phi2 minus Phi1? Will it be either Phi2 or this?
It will be Phi2 only, sir, because Phi2 is itself the rotation about L1, about P2. Sorry.
Phi2 is the rotation only of link 2. You can see in the top here,
Yes.
Phi 2 is only the rotation of link 2. Phi 1 is only the rotation of link 1. And all you're doing is you're joining P2 and P3.
Sir, but phi 2, matlab, L2 will only rotate about P2, right? Okay, sir, I got it.
Yeah, so if it were to only rotate about P2, then will that be an independent degree of freedom? Or will it be independent when it rotates about link 1?
No, sir.
So what are these 4 degrees of freedom defining? One is x, y, the coordinates of one of those points, the translations, and phi 1, which is the the rotation of link 1, and phi 2, or the second angle. Clearly, if P2 and P3 are joined, it can now only rotate with respect to the first link. So in this case, you should get some theta 2, which is equal to the difference between phi 2 and phi 1, if phi 2 and phi 1 are being defined as shown in the top figure. In the top figure, phi 2 and phi 1 were simply defined as a rigid link rotating in the plane as an independent degrees of freedom. So now when you're joining P2 and P3, now this link is not rotating anywhere in the plane. It is only rotating with relative to the first link. So that is why you will get some theta 1 or theta 2, we can call it. That is defined by phi 2 minus phi 1. It's a way of defining. I mean, I had originally defined phi 1 and phi 2 to be rotations of the links anywhere in the plane. So when we joined, then phi 2 minus phi 1 would describe the rotation of link 2 about link 1. That is why I have written phi 2 and phi 1. But if you want to take the phi 2 and phi 1 here to mean the same thing, that rotation about link 1, then yes, you will get only phi 2. So here I am going to write phi 2 minus phi 1, because in this case, in the earlier figure, I had defined these two phi 1 and phi 2 as rotations anywhere in the plane of both these links, L2 and L1. Right? So far so good.
Yes, sir.
So now let us take it one step ahead. Suppose this chain is fixed at a point, right, given by this PG. So now can you tell me what will be dimension of C, what will be N, and what are the constraint equations?
It will be 4, sir.
Oh, this will be 4.
Yes, sir.
And degree of freedom is 2.
Degree of freedom 2.
Okay, and what are the constraint equations?
The fact that x1 is a fixed point now, xg, and y1 is yg.
Yeah, so x1 minus xg is 0. y1 minus yg is 0. These two constraint equations give this 2 degrees of freedom. And now tell me, what are these 2 degrees of freedom?
Theta 1 and theta 2 represent the 2 degrees of freedom here.
Yeah, theta 1 and theta 2.
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Tell me.
So the dimension should be 6 only, right? We have 4 constraints here.
4 constraints.
Sir, where we can write x2 equal to x3 and y2 equal to y3 also, and the dimensions should be 6 for the two rods.
Yeah, I'm not going all the way back to that point. I'm just going from this figure to this figure. I'm just taking it in a series of steps. So
Okay, sir.
I don't want to go all the way back to that L2 and so on. You're right. If you write it that way, then yes, the dimension of C will be x1, y1, x2, y2, x3, y3, and x4, y4. So you will get 8, right? And this constraint equations, you will get these 2 and another 4, 6. So you're right. And finally, you will get ns2. But I'm just trying to derive all of these from this figure only. I'm assuming you have reached here, and now from this point I'm just fixing this part, P1. So that is
Okay,
why it leads to only this kind of expression. Dimension of C is 4 and 2 constraints I'm adding as compared to the previous figure, which is leading to n equal to 2.
okay, sir.
Yeah. Now just to clarify this theta 2, when you try and relate it to phi 1 and phi 2, that was the original phi 1 and phi 2 here, that is anywhere both of these can rotate in the plane, right? Now if you want to relate them, you will get theta 2 as phi 2 minus phi 1 and theta 1 as simply phi 1. So these are the 2 degrees of freedom. Now it should be pretty obvious by now why this way of representing through joint angles is a bit more convenient than using Cartesian coordinates. If you want to use Cartesian coordinates, you'll have to deal with many constraint equations. Suppose in this figure I try and use Cartesian coordinates. I have to write x1, y1, x2, y2, perhaps even x3, y3, and certainly x4, y4. And then I have to write about 6 constraint equations to get 2 degrees of freedom. So there are certain advantages in using joint angles as the coordinate, as the generalized coordinates, independent generalized coordinates, to describe the degrees of freedom of the system, to describe the motion. Because ultimately when you are writing the equations of motion, if you have studied the Lagrangian before, you have to use the independent generalized coordinates. That is why this is important, that always when you try and write any system, you try and use the minimum number of coordinates, and in a lot of cases, at least for mechanisms, because they have a lot of constraints, it is better to use joint angles as the way of expressing the motion of the system, right? Now before I just stop, could anyone just tell how far you have studied regarding this holonomic and non-holonomic constraints? Have you studied non-holonomic constraints?
We studied the Euler-Lagrange equations. We didn't study the constraints specifically. We studied the Euler-Lagrange equations and the minimizing the integral LDT.
Okay, fine. Okay. So these kind of equations you have studied, d by dt del L by del theta I dot minus
del L by del theta is equal to
what?
is it 0? I don't remember anymore.
No, the
Second.
system of
The
generalized,
non-conservative force.
yeah, generalized forces.
Yes, sir. Yes, so we did generalized forces and generalized work and all that.
Okay, fine, very good.
You just have to
So
revise
this-
a bit for me at least.
Yeah, so in this equation, when you write the equations of motion, clearly you have to choose the theta I, or in general form it is written as qi, where q represents the system of generalized coordinates. So it is better if q is chosen at least for mechanisms in terms of theta I, that is the joint angles, and not in terms of xi Cartesian coordinates. So there is a particular reason for this, and that is that if you want to write it in this manner in terms of Cartesian coordinates, you also have to deal with n number of constraint equations that are there. So this is why, at least for mechanisms, we generally use joint angles. They are generally preferred as the generalized coordinates for writing equations of motion. When we'll be getting to dynamics, then we'll do this. But this lecture was intended primarily for you to find out why joint angles are preferable. So I'll stop right here. Tomorrow I think is your quiz. For your quiz, this part I won't keep. Whatever I've taught in today's lecture, at least I won't keep. But till yesterday's lecture, it will be there as a syllabus for your quiz. So I hope you have all prepared pretty well. Have you got my instructions for the quiz? Did I mention that what you have to do for the quiz? At 12 o'clock, I'll upload the paper, and you have to scan, and you have to after you write it on a blank paper. You can take a white paper at home, write down the answer, and scan or take a photograph and send it. I hope I mentioned this yesterday.
Yes, sir. I wanted to ask, will we have to write the entire solution, or will the answer be enough?
Yes. Otherwise, the point is defeated. I could have taken an objective type quiz also.
Okay.
So yes, I will mark based on the entire answer.
Okay.
So, but do we have to show like individual calculations, or if there is a matrix into a vector, we can directly write the resultant vector?
Yes. You can just say that. Okay. Suppose you want to calculate the Euler angles in MATLAB. I have showed you how to do it. The commands for it. So you can say I have used this, and based on that, I have got these Euler angles.
Okay, so just the reasoning behind the answer is needed, not the specific calculations.
Yes. So I all the calculations means it is not that I'm expecting you to literally say that okay, determinant is this and so on and so forth, but all the steps involved. If there is a physical step involved in that you have to explain. You have to say that in the case of Euler angles, rotation is happening about this axis, that axis, and so on. That certainly the order of rotations I will expect you to write. In terms of mere calculations, yes, you can say I've used MATLAB and I've calculated. No problem.
Okay, sir. Sir, I had a doubt in the assignment.
Yes.
The first assignment, in question 5 part 2, it says to follow an alternate method, and then you've given the reference to the computer vision intelligence in that book.
Yeah.
Right. So in that book, I found that there were differences specifically in how you define the coordinate system. Like
yes, that is true.
So, and considering that, so my DH parameter table is not coming the same. In some places, DI is switched with alpha I and things like that. So is that okay, or?
Yes, yes, you can use in like preferably in your exam. I would prefer if you use the DH table which I've taught. But if you're going to use that, then please mention it that I am using this convention. Uh, you can mention the name of the book if you want, and you can say that you are using that convention, and you can write the answer.
Okay, sir.
You are asking with reference to the examination or assignment. In the assignment,
In
you
the
have to,
assignment, it's like what I found, or I was expecting that I'll get the same DH parameter table, just that how I got it would be slightly different. But it turned out that the DH parameter table itself was altered. So that
yes,
was
yes,
why I was asking. So
yes, yes, that is true. Yes.
okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, but I hope that with the conception there are only ultimately the representation matrix is that also coming out to be different, the
No,
transformation.
the matrix is the same. It's just that the coordinate frames are slightly different. So the intermediate steps are different. But the end effector position and the base position, that transformation matrix comes out to be the same. That's not a problem.
Okay, okay, fine, fine. Then it is correct. Yes, it is true. I think in that method they have taken the way of defining the Z frame. In the method that I thought, the joint axis is always the Z axis. I think there is some
No,
change
they've
over
taken
there.
it as the z-axis only. What they've done is, for us, what we done was xi is defined with reference to zi and zi plus 1. So the current and next frame. Whereas for them, xi is defined with respect to zi and zi minus 1. So the previous
ZI minus.
infinite frame.
Okay, okay, okay. So the that is another convention. Yeah, so fine. So in the assignment that is okay. In the exam also, if you want to use that convention, you can use it, provided you just stated that I've used this convention. Uh, if you have not used, then I'll have to presume that you're using the same convention as I've taught in class. That is just something I wanted to mention.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So any other problem in the assignment? I hope you have seen both the assignments. One is due on 30th, that is next Wednesday, and another on 11th. One of you had a problem with obtaining the for question 5 part 1, obtaining that drawings. Uh, every one of you has attempted that one, obtain the drawing of a robot. Or is there anyone who is still having a problem? Okay, fine, good. One last thing. Another student has informed me that he wants to leave the course. So I hope that he's not a part of the same group that had 3 people. Is that the case? Dak Sharma, I think his name is. Was he a part of that group which already had only 3 people?
No, sir.
Oh, okay, fine, fine. So all groups have at least 3 people, right? I hope. Is there any group right now that has less than 3 people in the project? Okay then. Maybe tomorrow after class, we can after you submit the quiz, it should be over in about an hour or maximum hour and 15 minutes. It's because the class is up till 2 o'clock. Um, if tomorrow either one of any one person in all the groups, maybe if you can explain to me how far you have reached with studying that tree type robotic systems for your project, and if you are having any kind of difficulty, we'll discuss tomorrow. It's not an examination. I'm not going to mark you or anything. I just want to know if you're going in the right direction. So tomorrow after the quiz 1, perhaps for 15-20 minutes, if we can discuss if you are having any difficulty with that concept of tree-type robotic systems, which is a part of your project. So if any one of you in each group, I'll ask them to explain how far you've come. So all right, if you have no other queries, then you can log off. All the best for the quiz.